Yo, 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 we're back with a new episode on the Black Super Friends podcast. Irrational Zae has finally got his things together. He chose to have an impromptu conversation tonight, and he allowed me to be producer. I will send him the invoice later. And we got a special guest today. She will be known on this network as Empress Bree. All right.
Breezy Bree for
And
short.
we want to welcome you to the Black Super Friends podcast. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, your name will probably change before the third episode. Just know we got jokes over here. So if you own this crew, buckle up. All right. So the point of this conversation tonight is everybody had their own series. The Black Super Friends is on hiatus. Possibly could be coming to an end. So you had Chris Leo had the Lions Den. You had Mario with Conversation with Two, and tonight so far is Wednesdays with Irrational Zae. So let's go and see how that conversation goes. And I'm going to go right into it because the point of this conversation is about the miscommunication between men and women, and
Mhm.
especially those that are in a relationship and. I guess they, or maybe Bree, tell us really what you want to ask. What's the issue with the miscommunication between men and women in relationships? What do you think is the biggest thing that you see or you've heard from your friends? Because we don't want to, you know, you with the stake out.
Incriminate you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here as a guest. I'm here as a guest. Um, but yeah, communication is a problem. Relationship, friendship, personal friendships, and work friendships. So I think overall communication is just individual. Like it's a situation that if you as a person don't have good communication skills, communication is just not gonna be something that you're good at, no matter who it's with. So I think what we need to work on and really talk about is how can you get better at communication? How can you how can you get better at communication? Because that gets deep.
So before we go there, because that's going to probably be one of the remedies to what you're asking. You got to realize if you are having communication issues in the relationship, then you're probably having communication issues throughout everything, like you said, whether it's business, whether it's platonic or friends, but definitely romantically, because you're not getting out your full thought or you're not receiving the full thought of the other person. One of the biggest caveats that comes with communication is understanding. And that's something that I always talk about because a lot of times people hear through their own scope or lens, and they don't actually hear what you're saying from your heart.
Mm, yeah, yeah, I agree. It's like it is a remedy, but it's still, like I said, that it gets deep as they have to be able to understand their perspective, but they also have to be able to communicate too. So it's multiple aspects of it. And yeah, you could start with different
Well, I think,
perspectives.
okay, I was going to say, you said something, you said they got to understand their perspective. No, they understand their
No, no,
perspective.
no, they have to be able to communicate their perspective because you could you could feel like, oh, I'm talking and I'm speaking and I'm saying what I got to say, but you're not really communicating your thoughts properly. So you're not really communicating effectively. So,
That's the question
if
you
I
got to
if I,
ask
if I
yourself.
did say that, I'm sorry. I meant to say that they have to be able to communicate their thoughts properly as well as be able to understand other people's thoughts and perspectives appropriately as well.
So
Man,
receiving, I think that's something you talk about a lot, Horace, where you say that reciprocity, is that, did I say that correctly?
reciprocity.
Reciprocity. So not only about communicating the feelings, because a lot of people have no problem communicating their feelings. They just don't realize that they're having a monologue. And if you want to gain some traction, you have to have a dialogue, meaning you have to be able to effectively communicate what you're saying, but then
Accept
also
feedback.
be able to receive back what's coming
Hmm.
in order for you guys to move forward. If not, you just have a stalemate and you're no different than two rams butting heads. You won't ever
Hmm.
get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let me throw the gas on the fire. Listen, so the question was the miscommunication between men and women. However, just my take on perspective, at certain age, men and women thoughts, their purpose, and their definitions of different things are so far apart. At 30, the way a woman thinks and what she thinks a priority and what she thinks is important at 30 is going to be so far different from a guy at age 30 a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Just my take. So while she's getting serious and she's thinking about her future, her career, and all those things, sometimes a guy at 30, his mind ain't there yet. He hasn't
That's
took a
true.
moment
That's
to focus.
psychology.
Yeah, he hasn't took a moment to focus. So when y'all at age 30 talking about love languages, emotional intelligence, and all that stuff, a guy at 30 is still trying to figure out, do he want that job? Do he want to get married? He's dealing with other issues. So I think a lot of times a guy has to feel safe enough to share all of these questions that he have in his head. Like, because we put on a big facade about being so egotistical. You know, I just heard today Shaq was telling somebody, "Oh, don't tell your women or don't pour into her." And I'm like, I really don't agree with that, but you know, to each his own. I don't agree with that, but when a dude has a woman that he trusts, he's gonna absolutely do all of that. He's gonna pour into her.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
To a
Mm-hmm.
degree, I
yeah,
agree with Shaq, but I have to push back too. Um, don't be overly expressing your feelings, because then you fall in that realm of character of men that women don't like. The soft guys, and
And
or,
yeah,
or too
that's
toxic.
that, but
hmm
that's the two-way street where the female now, or whoever it is, because you have to be able to understand that your partner is coming to you to talk to you because that is your partner. And I know what you're talking about. It was Shaq and what's her name? Monique. So she was like, that's your partner. Like, you're supposed to be able to come to your partner and talk. So as your partner, the female, she shouldn't be sitting there saying like you're too soft, because who else is he supposed to come to and talk to?
she
So,
probably didn't vet him better. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because you got to understand why he feels like that. What was his household like coming up? Did you even check that out, or did you just say, "Hey, he looks good and his wallets are fat. I'm in love," and and just decided to move on with that person? Because that also plays a factor. And if that's the case, then he came up in a household where you were a chump or whatever like that. If you showed your softer side, you're gonna have hell trying to get him to be vulnerable around you, because that's gonna be frowned upon in his household. And you got to realize that people's ceiling is very important. What they saw growing up is 9 times out of 10 what they will be, unless they make the conscious effort to be different.
yeah. Yeah,
That's
I
just
mean, it's still in the environment, because you can come out of trauma, but when you have that person that gives you that safe space or lets you know this is a different space, you're able to kind of slowly relearn different things. And yeah, you could allow your past to eat you alive all you want, but if you gonna stay stuck on your past, baby, you're never gonna grow. You're never gonna be able to communicate. And like he said, you're at 30 and you're thinking like, oh, I don't have the mindset for this, or his age is not there. And it's, like I said, it's true, because that happens. Sorry, but men do develop a little bit later than females. But
very true.
nonetheless, regardless, it's still a matter of, okay, when are they going to start developing? It takes somebody, it takes an environment, it takes a situation, it takes something for them to start developing into something different. And because otherwise than that, you're just going to keep saying, well, how I grew up and how I saw and what I know and what you got to relearn different habits, and it's
Now
that.
that's very true. I
You
think
do know whether this whole term about talking about feeling like trauma, toxic, all of that stuff has really been new talking points. Before everybody got so evolved and educated the last couple of years, we
mhm.
didn't have these type of conversations.
It was
Men weren't
woke.
really
Everybody was woke. That was the word back in
woke.
the day, is
Yeah,
Now
woke.
people
yeah.
talking about trauma and toxic and trauma bonds.
It's the vulnerability. People are being more vulnerable about speaking about things because it's become so highlighted. And I think that happened like COVID time, because in COVID time people were going through all kinds of different mental states where people just started breaking down walls and was able to speak about things. People was seeing things and was like, again, it took a situation for them to realize like, damn, I can't be this like so ungrateful about life, this so like miserable in life type person. So it takes a situation sometimes, or it takes a person.
I'm gonna
And
tell you what
yeah,
really happened during COVID time. Everybody was in jail. And if you notice, when people go to jail, they come out very strange a lot of times, right? So they had too much time on their hands, if you ask me. But who
but
am
that
I? You
time
know what I'm
did
saying?
good. That time did
For
people
some
good,
of
because
them,
now, yeah, you're right. You're
abuse
right.
it. Like, they had a list, a laundry list going on right before the end of 23 of the most abused words. And, we never got a chance to highlight that. But toxic was definitely on there and
It's still
healed
very
and
abused. It's
bruh.
still very abused
And they
because
won't do the work.
people people exactly, that's the problem. The word is still so abused where it's like it's thrown in the air, it's not even fully understood, like the meaning of it, where it comes from, how to fix it, what it does. All of those things is not really even fully understood, and people are just saying it and like going with it, and don't, like you say, they don't do the work behind it to even get rid of the word. They
So now
just
this
keep
is the
saying it.
I want to say
say
both
so.
groups are guilty.
Yeah.
Both sides. I'm trying to be better at this.
Both sides of what?
Listen,
Men and
when
women.
y'all start talking about
Oh, yeah.
therapy, oh, everybody got to go to therapy, and then you got all of these therapists. Cause you go to school, it's always somebody's at the top of the class, and then you got somebody that got their degree, so they just
Amen.
really got it. But all these people
Just
have
barely got it.
access to different channels now. Just like y'all get mad about all the guys with podcasts with all this stuff to say, I have to say the same thing that's going on with some of these groups. I posted one today with a bunch of girls, and they, mm, I was like, y'all ain't said a damn thing. You know what I mean? And y'all always together, so something ain't working. All y'all ass is lonely as hell. So
I'm gonna tell
yeah,
you
Ooh.
one I saw that sent me. The one, it was this chubby checker, and she was stating that if a man doesn't make 50 racks a year, he shouldn't be dating. And I agree with her subject matter because you need money to date, obviously, right?
I do.
But the rhetoric that she had going with it, because she liked to eat and all this other stuff, and I was taking a real good inventory of the cast of women that was amening and clapping, and none of them had a wedding ring on their finger, but they were tossing around them demands and things like it was nobody's business. And I get it, in this climate with today's economy, 50,000 might not be a whole lot of money, but it's a starting point. And I think with all of the wokeness and the healed, people done got so smart that they damn stupid. Like, they're saying any and everything out of their mouth to be relevant, and it ain't. I don't want to say it's true, but it ain't feasible. Like, it's not logically possible for everyone to start off a six-figure earner. You understand what I'm saying? In order to date, people didn't have two pennies to rub together, and they made it work. I
Word.
think you should appreciate the starting point,
True
but
words.
also, yeah, no, that's too much. Like, right, to ask people to appreciate something. There's too many demands that are going on around right now. I think that also started in COVID time, but again,
Mm-hmm.
Bree, I want to say this: 30-year-old me. So when I heard the thing, the lady said, if you ain't making what 50,000, that you shouldn't be dating.
hmm
30-year-old me would have been like, that's BS, girl. She gonna get this good loving. We gonna do the 2 for 20. We're gonna chill out. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna be vibing, booed up. But 40-year-old me is not offended. You know why? Because I need enough money to make sure I can date and it don't set me
hmm
back. Because remember,
facts,
a lot of times we'll date and we chasing, trying to. What's JT say? Why do I chase a cat?
hundred
And now
percent.
I'm behind on bills and ain't got my life in order, all because I'm out here
I
dating. Nobody
mean,
can
but
afford it.
it's still a matter of like you can say,
Mm-mm.
oh yeah, I need this money and this and that, but regardless, no matter what age you are, of course you need money, and of course you need to be able to make sure that you can take care of yourself, because even if you buy yourself, you need to make sure that you're not out here saying like, oh, money don't matter, or oh, I got
Oh
all this
yeah.
money and your bill's not paid, or you're not taking care of your own needs for yourself, or you're, the people who are buying shoes and don't have nowhere to live, or like, in
You
Benzes
preaching
and
that.
don't have nowhere to live, those kind of things. So it doesn't matter about relationship for you to say like, oh, to be in a relationship you got to have a certain kind of money. I think it needs to be reworded, and it just needs to be, don't be out here trying to live beyond your means, because you
Oh,
can be in a
totally.
relationship where both of y'all are working, both of y'all work at Burger King,
Mm.
and y'all may be like trying to y'all may be trying to like come up together. You guys are helping each other. One may, you're doing something where it's not just like you're living in a situation where you're working at Burger King, but y'all out to
Not
eat every
progressing.
night, not saving. Right. Like, come on now. So
Mm.
I
That makes
don't
sense.
like that at all, because I'm sweatpants, hair tied, chilling with no makeup on type female. So I'm never about money. And I'm always going to advocate for, I'm not here about the money and the materials. I'm
But I
really
want you
not,
to
because
say
I don't
this
like
now,
it.
Comes
Bree.
a time.
You are an
But it
anomaly.
comes,
You are an anomaly, and the reason why I'm saying that is because in the world of dolled up BBLs and everything else, what you're saying is actually a high commodity. But I don't want to take away from you, because in that same instance, you've gone through a roller coaster or a pitfalls and well, hills and crests. And why I'm saying that is because you're comfortable where you are now, but let's not mistake, you're a nurse. And a lot of individuals, but you had I've been there with you, and the reason why I'm saying this is because individuals may be looking and they're saying, okay, you look young, and I hear what she's saying, but they don't realize that you've been through these things that we're talking about, and you've gotten to a place now where you have that financial security, and you're not all the way out the gate yet.
barely, right,
But this
exactly.
is
But
what I'm saying.
but
But you
so hold on. This, and when
okay?
I say that, like I said, remember I said you have to be, you're not looking at what is offered, you have to be looking at what is happening, meaning you're not looking for what he has and what he's or what do you bring to the table. But if you want to say what do you bring to the table, is what kind of mindset are you coming with? Are you coming with a mindset that you're trying to grow, or you're coming with a mindset that you're going to be stagnant and you're comfortable and you're good with what you're doing? So I'm not saying, oh yeah, I'm good with being with a broke person, and they're, they don't have nothing going for themselves and this, that, and the third. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I'm not gonna say for us to even start off fireworks.
Mm.
Ah,
Hey, listen,
I
I'm
got
glad
it.
it's you, because usually it's me. So I am glad you
Hey,
haven't
listen,
broken in to the Black Super Friends Network. I
I got a
Yeah,
appreciate it,
so
question.
laughing.
yeah, but
Desi
basically
Banks just went
overall,
on, and he was on Club
who
Shay Shay. Desi Banks.
The comedian.
is that? The light skinned dude, kind of chubby.
No,
Nah, we
don't
don't
come. It's
really,
the
you know what
dark
I'm saying?
skinned guy.
We don't really support the light skin, you
You know,
know.
type shit. Dude, I would be talking about type shit, and he talk about the black Air Force Ones and the white Air
Okay,
Force
let's
Ones.
keep going, because I'm gonna look real stupid. Keep asking who and not know who.
Right.
I,
So,
I am mad.
so listen. So he was on Club Shay Shay, and he was. Listen. I'm starting to be real Drakish lately. So he was saying how he didn't blow up, but the girl that he was with one day was like, put him out at the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., and was like, "You got to get a job. You got to get out." Like she was over it, and he claimed that he was working. He wasn't bringing in what he should have, but she like one night she had enough, and she put him out. And I think he had to go move in with his grandma, and he was like, "Oh, she
Hmm.
didn't support me on my dreams."
What
And me
dream?
personally,
Mm.
so listen, so my question to you is, what do you call supporting the dream? Because in my mind, a young minded dude thinking, she got me, she holding me down, I'm giving her good loving, she happy, and then one day she put him out, now he heartbroken. When I believe that your dreams are your responsibility. Like, I don't think a dude should never not be working at all, but that's just my take. Are you gonna support a man? Like Desi, is he trying to, he trying to be a comedian, he trying to do his reels? Are you gonna support that dude?
Oh, that's what you mean. Well, you heard my first question. What dream? Because
Hmm.
I'm a logical person. So if you got a dream, what's your dream? What's your plan? What's in motion? What are you doing? How are we making things progress here? Is this just like you're selling me a dream where you're telling me it's a dream, but really you're just chilling and you're comfortable and you're trying to see how far you can go with living like this? Or are you actually really growing and doing something? And when it comes to, you said his reels and all that, you mean as an influencer support that dream?
Yep.
That's real hard, because when you got
Can't eat
talent,
that.
you got talent, and that does take time and that doesn't happen overnight. But what I would say as a person, I'm a little paranoid about the cat. As a person who is, if you're saying, oh, she's not supporting me. Now, was she helping you promote? Was she helping you like be a better person? Was she there when you're making skits, help you edit? Was she in the court shooting? Was she
And
at practice?
She was paying
that's the
all the
part we
bills.
don't know. Yeah, she was paying the
No,
bills. We don't know
that's
that
not
part.
that's not fully that because somebody got to pay the bills. That's support, but supporting his dream to help him grow, because if like I said, if that's a business where it's only going to grow by promotion, again, and what are you doing to help that grow? Are you helping him? Are you supporting him grow? Because if not, then yeah, he ain't gonna be getting nowhere. He's by himself trying to do it. So you're not really supporting him. Yes, you're supporting him financially, but that's nothing. And then also what I thought about is you said, oh, she put him out at like 2 a.m. or it was like overnight. Did she have a conversation with him? Did she ask him these questions like, okay, well, what are you doing? Like, okay, or tell him, hey, you know what, this is not working. This is becoming too much for me. I can't manage all of this by myself. I don't see nothing happening with you going on. I think maybe you need to look for a second job in the meantime until you really get there, because right now it's not cutting it. Did she have those kind of conversations, or was it just one of those situations where she held it all in, put on the front, tried to put up with it, and then it boiled out and the pot got too
That's
hot
the
at 2 o'clock in the
that
morning?
that's the part that we don't know though, Bree. And the crazy part about it is because we heard it from his side, we never got a chance to get in. He was speaking from his point of view. Now the crazy part about it is I did see the addendum. She did actually do a response video to it, and she was kind of she was over it. It hadn't come to fruition, and one night she was just like, "It is what it is," and she actually bragged about sending him packing back to his
Of
mother's
course she
house.
is. Of course she
Uh huh.
is.
But on the
Mm.
flip side, so the caveat for most men in that what most men will look at is, well, guess what? It came to fruition, and now he's huge, and she's no longer in the picture. But she was probably his fuel. Something you speak about a lot, Horace, which is that hurt that happened to him was what pushed him into where he is
That's that
now.
strength. That's that strength.
So I don't know, man. But you were saying some real good stuff, Bree. I know a lot of women probably want to tar and feather you because again, I said you're an anomaly. You were talking about paying the bills, and that wasn't no big thing. And there's some women that would have had a conniption about that.
Like I said though, is paying the bills with understanding. It's not just paying the bills and taking care of somebody, because I'm not going to be paying the bills and be taking care of a man when you want to be sitting here and preach that you're a man. And it's okay to say that you're a man, but we have to have a balance, and not to say, I throw around the term 50-50, and then that comes back to kind of haunt me in a way, but so I don't want to say it, but 50-50, have a balance. We have understanding. And that's the word I'm going to stick to, understanding. We have an
My kind of girl.
understanding that right now you're not making that much money, but you're working on something that could possibly get us the money, and I'm here helping you. I'm okay with it until we get to a point where maybe it is too much for me, and I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna come to you, have that communication. We're gonna have that talk, and I'm gonna let you know. And then you need to be able to understand me, see my perspective, and understand that it is too much for me, and what you're doing is not really helping too much. And we went through a recession a couple times, and people understand that inflation is just real and it keeps going. So again, you should be able to understand when I tell you this is too much for me. But if you can't understand that, or you're just gonna be selfish and be like, damn, you ain't supporting me, like, damn, you can't take care of me or whatever, that's where that whole people don't have understanding, people don't know how to communicate, because now they're taking what I'm saying as something that's offensive or something that doesn't make sense, when really and truly I'm just trying to be a partner, I'm trying to be an adult, I'm trying to be mature, I'm trying to come to you and communicate with you and let you know before I just randomly send you out at 2 o'clock in the morning, because eventually things is going to get too hot and I'm not going to be able to handle it. But I'm trying to, do that. And if she had that conversation a couple times and he was like, didn't really do nothing about it, or kind of took her for granted, worst case
Then that
scenario,
was the
took her for
result.
granted, then that's the result. And that's more than likely why she's so proud, because it's like, and yeah, so what, I know I did so much and he took me for granted, he took advantage of me. So yeah,
Mm.
of course you're gonna be proud, because you're gonna say, I know I did my part as a partner. I did what I could to support. I did what I could to hold it down. So
That's a good take because again, like you said, we didn't hear that part, and I like a lot of what you said. Me knowing you, I know that you're a very verbal person, and you're gonna ask questions almost to the point of viscosity, if that's a real word, you know. But it's for a said reason, like you said. It's to gain clarity. Um,
yeah,
we don't know if she
communicate.
did that though. We don't know if she did that. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. But I that actually leads into another question that I want to actually get into, but I like what you said. I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, don't let
Come
off the
on now.
hook.
I
Don't
was
let
about to
off
Well,
the
say,
hook.
come on now,
go
ask
ahead.
a
You,
What you
question.
Bree
got, bro?
making bank, right?
I'm not.
Do
Let's
Listen,
clarify
she
that.
making bank
I am
now,
a
right?
nurse resident. I'm not.
Do you
Let's
think
not tell lies. I
at some
literally
point?
just finished. I just passed my NCLEX. I just became a nurse. So let's not.
but
So with that being
I
said, I definitely know who was there for me when I was in school, when I had a child, when I had another child, when I was pregnant in school. So again, it's, was he doing stuff before and helping her, and she was down and out or something? Because that's another reason why I would be, I'm always a person where I'm big on karma. So
so
do good,
let me
good will
ask you a
come back to you.
question. Let me ask you a question because I want to piggyback on something you said. You said
Mhm.
you're fresh off your NCLEX, right? Do you know that in our myopic view, because of our world, what we see, most women when they fresh off that NCLEX and they got that RN before their name, oh, you can't tell them nothing. They done did everything on their own. And shout out to you for saying you know who was there for you as you were going through all the pitfalls of life to get to where you are now, realizing that you're not even where you want to be yet. You're just at the beginning. But
For
so many
sure.
people make it right to where you are right now and think that they have arrived. And they start putting out the demands because now they think that the big bucks are rolling in. And, which leads to where you get this man versus woman, and I don't need a man or I don't need a woman. You understand what I'm saying? And that ain't right.
I'm gonna just say this. First of all, everybody who knows me knows that I've always been Bree wants to do it on her own. And it's not just to say in relationships. Like I said, when I speak overall, because it's as simple as, I was shampooing my car one day. My dad is a detailer and he's telling me, you don't need to wet the whole season. I'm like, well, I want my seats in my car to smell real good. And I went and I soaked the whole damn seat and I sprayed the whole shit down with a hose. And then he was like, see, now your car is soaking wet. Sorry, I'm trying to be all cozy and shit outside, and here we go. But he was like, you see, you always want to do your own thing. Now your whole car is soaking wet, and then it didn't get to dry that day, and then my car was all stank and all kinds of shit, and and I'm big on smells and being clean. Again, hence
Mhm.
why I was like, I'm a hose, literally from the headliner to the seats to the floor, everything I hose down, and that's simply because I want to do it my way. I wanted it to be super clean and all of these things. So I get that a lot already with the whole, oh, you're a nurse now, that's why I had to because people of, just like you said, people, that's a thing. People think, oh, you're a nurse and you
Mhm.
become big, or oh, you a nurse and you don't know how to act, and That is definitely not me, because I know nurses that have been nurses for years, and I know those nurses that are still trying to figure out how the hell they're going to manage. So I know that where I'm at is still like I'm nowhere. And I think a part of that is, with everything else in life, experience, being around different people, communicating with, networking. I know things. So I know that this is not where I need to be. And I'm definitely never, again, I'm not a materialistic person. So I'm never going to be that person that feels like, oh, I got it and I'm making it, because I'm really not. And
Well, you driving that point
finish your
home,
school.
aren't you?
She
I really
sure
am,
fine.
because
She
because
tight with it.
it's something that, like you said, even when it comes to relationships, they feel like, oh, now you're done with school and you want to be this, like, oh, I'm independent. No, I've always been this way. I've always been that type of person where I'm not. I had a friend. She was asking me one time. She was like, "Oh, you want me to come over and like help you with your hair?" And I was like, "Or come keep you company while you do your hair?" I was like, no, I don't need you here to do my hair. And she was like, damn, Bree, like, sometimes people just want to feel like they're needed. And I was like, but I don't need you. And she was like, damn, Bree. And then I was like, damn, I started laughing, because I was like, a week prior to that, someone was said something, and I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. He was like, why you always like, you don't need me, you don't need me? I'm like, because I don't need you. I'm gonna figure it out. Everybody in life, if you don't have something, you have to figure it out, right? So naturally, I'm a person where I'm gonna figure it out. I don't want to feel like I need somebody or I need to depend on somebody. And because then you just kind of live your life in a weird way. But nonetheless, I don't want it to be seeming like, oh, because I'm a nurse, or because I'm done with school, or because I've been through a traumatic relationship, that I want to be this independent woman. No, that's just me naturally as a person, because of my mentality. And I'm not saying that I don't need a man, or I don't need a person, or I don't need friends. It's just I'm not going to rely on that to say like, oh, my life is going to end if I don't have that type of thing. Of
Let me
course,
ask you a
everyone
question
wants
with
that,
that.
but yeah.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question with that, because you hammered away at another point. How do you feel about that? Man versus woman. I don't need a man. I don't need, because I know that you don't need anybody there with you when you're doing your hair. You've expressed that. How do you feel
No,
about men and women saying that they don't need either sex?
like I just said, I'm not saying, oh, I don't need a man, or I don't want a man because I don't need a man, because again, everybody wants that. I mean it in a term of, I don't want you to feel like I need you so you can do whatever, because I need you. I need you
Okay.
because men and women need each other. And I need you because I want a partner and because I want to be in a relationship. But I don't need you to say, like, oh, remember, I'm here because you need me. No, we need each other. Like you said, men and women feel like they don't need each other. And that's where the clash comes in. When you feel like you want each other, you need each other, or rather, I thought of this the other day, when you want somebody, then you start to need them, because it's like that craving type of thing, like, oh, I
Mm,
really want my man here, and then it kind of feels like a need, but it's more of a want. And I think that's still kind of the same, because then that person
dangerous.
feels wanted, that person feels needed, and it's giving what it needs to give. It gives that you need each other, but it's not
It's
on the
giving.
level of, it's giving.
Yes, there's
It
it's
gave.
giving.
It's
Okay.
giving.
We'll come back to that conversation in 5 years, and we're gonna play these
We're gonna
comments
record
back
it.
for you. Just know
What you
that
say
we're
about
gonna
that
come
one?
back in 5 years and play this whole conversation back to you. Okay? Just
I
want you
didn't
to
say I
know
don't
that.
want a man. I didn't say
Yeah,
I
we're
don't want a
gonna play this
man.
back and see how you feel.
Now you're making it seem like I said I don't want a man. You need to.
No,
Did you hear what I
I'm just
said?
listening to the wordplay. You know,
Okay,
I,
so did you hear what I said? I said I
I
didn't say I
did.
don't want a man.
You're
Okay,
very
good.
driven, and I tip
As
my
long.
hat to you. You know, so
Okay.
listen. Since you're so driven and you're very business minded in sorts of responsibility, what do you think about a prenup? Are you
Let me
Wait a
upset?
ask
minute.
you. What do you think about, as a male? I've been answering all these questions. I would just love to know.
Well,
I'd
you're our
answer on
guest.
it, but
I answer it.
yeah,
Prenups. Listen,
please.
I didn't have a prenup, and it could have backfired on me in my relationship. But I will say, people, once you learn marriage and understand it, marriage has a business aspect, and I think that's something that a lot of people have to recognize. So when you love somebody, and even when you get married, you think you love somebody. But imagine being with somebody every day, every day, every day. Y'all have good, bad. You're gonna end up being in love with them more than you even could imagine because y'all always together. Like that bond is strength. So imagine if something goes wrong, you want to go in a different direction. I have seen 90% of people that divorce turn into monsters that hate each other. There's the resentment, you know, especially if some cheating involved. So what I'm saying is, right now, while y'all both cool, calm, and collected, emotions outside, it's better for you to go in there and come up with an agreement. That way, if something happened that y'all can't imagine, it's all laid out.
So you're
Every
for a
dude, that
prenup.
person that I know that has not did it has regretted it. I had a guy I knew. Oh yeah, me and my ex man, we got it all worked out. Yeah, she good. And that man started losing weight at work because the attorneys get involved, and once somebody,
They sucking you dry.
yeah, and once that other person he claimed was like f you, like I ain't got no love for him, because they ain't got no love for you. They don't care what happens to you. I'm about to
It's
burn
all
you. There's a
right, Dr.
business
J.
side to relationships. That's all I'm saying.
So you say
I'm
yes to a
agree.
prenup.
You get a prenup?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you say
Absolutely.
yes to a prenup, Tuesday?
I actually say it depends on tax brackets. A lot of people don't even make enough to even bring that conversation into play. But like Horace said, it can spiral out of control on you. So I do like the take that he said on while the heads are cooler, have a plan in place. Hey, you know me, I sold life insurance. If we're gonna make sure that if you no longer here, that the family has a plan in place, a prenup might not be a bad idea if both parties are willing to come to the table and understand each other. And two, if that man loves that woman the way that he says he does, love, I feel like, doesn't change. It's not a fleeting emotion. You want to make sure, like, again, we talked about the $50,000 girl a year. When men get into a relationship, they want to be able to make sure that they can provide a level of security and stability for that young lady. If you are financially well off, or you're in a position that you can make sure that, you know what, that separation is seamless, like even if you guys are not together, that she gets a fair share or she's taken care of to the best of your ability, a prenup not bad. But going in as a prerequisite, I don't really think that you should or have to, but I also understand why it is necessary. So you got to weigh that based
Not,
on how
not,
your
to, not
relationship.
to cut you off there. I'm just saying, when you in love, so many people are so in love, like they're in love, you know, and they ignore so much because they're in love. But over the years, sometimes people outgrow each other. Sometimes people want different things. We're in a relationship. I want to do this. You want to do that. And people separate for various reasons. All I'm saying is, some people feel like you shouldn't have a prenup because you're jinxing the marriage. But I believe that it's just good business. That way, we both can just happen to, while we both hurt, we already had an agreement that we can follow that says, hey, you get this house, I get this house, I'm paying this much for support, you know, instead of now I cheated and now you mad and you wanna, and I'm dating somebody else, now you mad, so now I'm paying alimony. It just gets ugly, is what I'm saying. So I
That
just
happened
think
as
it's
well.
it's best.
Do you see
So
Zay?
no, he'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Listen, I've been
Um,
dealing with it a long time.
okay, yeah, I agree. I'm for a prenup, and I've been told that that's like a deal breaker. Like literally deal breaker. And I'm just like you said, if you, like Zay said it, if you love somebody, it shouldn't be like, oh, that's a, deciding factor. But I've literally had that happen where it was like, you want a prenup? Like, like what? Like you think y'all kind of different thing? I'm like, why not? Like Kanye said, should have got a prenup. And like you said, just when you're in that state before we even get to a point where it's like, oh, you feel, and this was before I even obviously graduated. The person said, I said, oh, you're not going to get any of my nurse money. But I know I didn't say that. But yeah,
Hey,
it's
very popular
that's
conversation for today's climate. So I don't know.
I think it's a
yeah,
red flag.
what?
It is.
Someone not wanting to have serious conversations. You know what I mean? And that's one of them. Like somebody's so offended about your money, I just think if you go for it, cool, but I'm saying that would make me draw back and say, okay, I'm gonna put a good poker face forward, but it's definitely gonna make me say I probably need to do this. That's just my
Right.
take.
Right. And it's like
Mhm.
like you say, if you love somebody, so for me, I'm saying, okay, if you feel like, because then it was also like, oh, um, if you're thinking about a prenup, like what are you really like holding on to? At that point, I wasn't a nurse. I wasn't even done with school. So it was like, you don't have nothing. Like they said, it depends on your tax bracket. He's like, what? You don't have nothing. Wait, like, what do you like? Your mother, your father's assets that they'll leave behind for you. I'm like, well, actually, shit, yeah, that is something that I could make sure that I hold on to. But more so, it was just a matter of, I don't want you to feel like because we're married that you're entitled to everything, or you're going to try and come fight me for whatever we have, because at the end of the day, what we build together, of course we're going to have to split evenly, but I don't want it to be a situation where you're now trying to take from me because of her, and because you're this and because of that, and all of a sudden I owe you so much, so let's just do a
Wouldn't
prenup. And
but
yeah.
wouldn't that be the perfect grounds for making the prenup? Like you said, I think when the heads are cooler, like Horace said in the beginning, hey man, we have things that, what I'm saying, are coming down to me or that I have already. That's going to be a no-go. The things that we build together, and that's why I was saying to you, um, that it's a conversation that you want to have when you're being logical and don't wait until you're emotional, like i.e. getting ready to split. So that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can recognize that, yeah, those things were yours. We amassed these things together. But just like I said, if you really, really love the person, you want to make sure that they're okay. You don't want to make sure that they're well off unless you're wealthy. But you want to make sure that you left that situation as amicably as possible, even if
Yeah.
it wasn't on the best of terms. But that's in a perfect world scenario. And most of the time,
That's
the
if you're
world ain't
dealing with two
perfect.
logical people. That's two logical people. And I already, and not even to say, oh, I know that person or whatever, but just overall, because it wouldn't even be with just that person. It would be an overall things. And
Hmm.
again, I was like, there was like, oh, what your parents leave you? And I'm like, I don't even know what my parents are leaving me. So it's not to say, oh, I'm holding on to anything specific. It's just more so two logical people in the early stages, in the right head mindset. Let's just agree that we should get a prenup so that in the end, when it does get ugly, no one is fighting each other for a whole bunch of BS.
Why are you
And that was
thinking
it.
about that? But go ahead, Horace. My bad.
Now, I was gonna say prenups are for the future. When you both are just getting together or getting married, you guys probably don't have much. But a successful marriage consists
Red
of two
cups.
working people that are going to obtain something, right? Most couples are going to obtain a home. Most married couples are going to obtain an investment home. So that's what you're getting the prenup for. Because the business side of this is we're going to have to split it. So let's split it while we're both in a good mental space as compared to an emotional space. When you get married, both of you take out life insurance in case somebody dies. I think when a divorce is related to a
Stupid.
Shout
divorce
out
is going
AIL.
as death. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't you get a prenup in case of death of the relationship? Because
Yeah.
like I say, I have not seen too many mutual divorces that ended in a good spot. You know,
Yeah,
and
and that's all I'm saying is, like you said, why not do it when we're in a good spot? And it's okay if you don't do it, worst case scenario, it's what are you really like, okay, if you do sign it and you're a person that's not for it, what are you going to lose if you do sign it?
right.
Probably that person. All jokes aside,
Literally,
they
literally,
out. I'm out,
literally. So
B.
yeah, what are you going to lose? And that's what I say. Okay, if I'm a person that say I want a prenup, and you're a person that says you don't want a prenup, but we can't come to a common agreement, we look at, okay, well, what are you going to lose from it if you do sign it? Nothing. You're not going to lose anything, because at the end of the day, you weren't really gaining anything, right? Because you didn't want to sign it. Now, if I go with your option of not getting a prenup, I may be losing a lot, or you may be losing a lot. So why not just go with the signing it? Because at the end of the day, it's like you say, it's for the future. It's not even to say we're actually going to use it. It's not even to say, oh, I'm thinking about if we get divorced and nothing. It's just something that's there. So signing it is not going to
Hey,
take
shit.
anything away from you. And that was literally like a deal breaker, like, oh yeah, I can't get married to you because of so and so, and your mind is just thinking about material things, your mind is not about love, your mind is just about the money and all of these other X, Y, and Z's. And I was like, okay, cool.
That sounds like
Because
somebody was
clearly
trying to get
your
over on
mind,
you, my G.
Yeah,
right,
don't fall for it.
because clearly your mind was in another place. So I'm like, okay. And overall, again, these are theoretical conversations, because I'm not even a person for marriage fully. I feel like I've seen so many marriages that once they get married, it goes way downhill. They've been together way longer than they've been married, and it's a whole nother
Yeah, that's
story.
right.
I feel
Let's
like,
talk about
again,
that.
it's just a paper. It's just a
And
paper that's just being signed.
invite
Let
us to the
me.
wedding.
Yeah,
Huh?
in
Invite us
five
to the
years, we're
wedding.
gonna revisit this conversation, as
I
my good
mean,
brother
I'm not
said.
saying I wouldn't get married, because I always tell people, like, if you, again, don't do it because you feel like you have to. Do it because you want to. Don't feel like you need to do it because I want it or it's what's needed. But I feel like we could have a great relationship without being married. We could be 20 years and be the best of friends, the best of partners, the best of partners. That's what we'll be, I guess.
Better.
And
Nope.
That sound. He's
One,
not going
I'm
for
not burning in hell for you. Two,
that.
we together for all them years and I die. You don't get none of my stuff. So
That is
marriage is
very
important.
real.
You can't get my social security. You can't get my pension.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
why would
But
we
then
just
that
be
goes
a
back
nice
to the whole
shacker?
prenup of like thinking that it's about what I want from you. It's our relationship is based off of love. So I'm not going in it to say, oh, at the end of the relationship, I want your stuff.
I'll say this to you,
It's gonna go
right,
to the
Bree, and
street.
I know. You know, what I'm saying you're young, but you're not that young. But I want you to understand that we've seen death in those situations. So him saying that makes a lot of sense to me. If I do love you, I do want to make sure that if I'm no longer here, that you know what I'm saying, I at least left you something. I might not be able to take care of every waking thing, but I can at least keep the wolf away from the door for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's because of the love that I have for your sacrifice. Basically, all
I'm
it comes
for
down
it.
to. So for
I'm
that,
for
you
it.
know what I'm saying, with the marriage thing,
But
yes,
that still goes back to do it because you want to do it. Do it because you feel like,
facts.
and I've said it, do it because you feel like I want you as my person forever. Like I literally want you. It's not just, oh, I feel like we have to get married, or I feel like it's the best if we get married. Do it because you feel like, yo, I'm good with you. Like you're my person. That
Mhm.
is, I'm ready to get married right now.
There you go.
But if
So
you feel like, oh, it's just I feel like we should, and I think it's the best thing, and I think it's what you would want, and all the it's not really what I
that's
want.
fairy tales. No, that's fairy tales. We ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let me
that's
ask you something
because
on the lightning round. All right. I don't. We got a little bit of time left, and it's something that we talked about, and I know you wanted to shed a little light on it, right? And you hinted toward it when you were talking about understanding. So I wanted to talk about that before you got away from us. As we talk about this understanding, and you given some good commentary as it comes to relationships and things like that. Understanding seems to be a big thing for you, right?
ooh, we had a comment. True about what?
With the understanding, how important is understanding for you? Because I know how you feel about prenups. How do you feel about understanding?
It's super important. It is. We started off with communication in the beginning of the conversation. Understanding has to be there for you to be able to communicate. You got to be able to understand what the person is saying. You got to be able to understand different perspectives. You got to be able to understand a concept within itself to be able to even speak on it. Like you can't go and talk about rice if you don't know nothing about rice. you
People
have
do
to
it
be
all
able
the
to have
time.
some kind of okay, and then the conversation gets nowhere because then you're just talking out your ass and you ain't really got nothing to say, and then you start
Ooh.
getting all like mixed up in your words, because then when someone who does know what they're talking about starts, rebuttaling or coming back at you with things, it's blah blah blah, blah. You ain't got nothing to say because
Mm.
you don't really know what you're saying. So I'd rather you tell me you don't understand so we can continue to communicate and ask questions. We can
But
ask questions, we can keep talking.
there's a famous book that says men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I personally think that men and women speak two different languages, and for lack of better words, a lot of times men don't understand women, and excuse me, women definitely don't understand men when they're saying or doing certain things. What is your take on that?
I agree 100%. Like I had someone else said, you know, Bree loves Jamaican. And it was like, Bree, you can't be trying to deal with a Jamaican and think that you're gonna be this like dominant person or whatever, because Jamaican men are never gonna listen. Jamaican men are always gonna feel dominant. Jamaican, and I was like, yeah, I realize that, I see that, whatever. And it's a matter of, if you understand that person, you kind of, even with family, if you understand a certain person, you know how to deal with them. But
It's called love.
regardless of what, right, but regardless of what, like you said, men and women don't really understand each other when they're communicating. What I try to do is I just take time. I slow down the conversation. Like, all right, let's slow down. Let's break it down. Let me repeat back what you said so you can hear it. Tell me if what I'm saying is what you just said, and now I'm going to tell you what I think about what you said or how I feel about what you said. And we can continue, we can have a dialogue. Like you said, we can
How you feel about that,
talk.
Horace? Even though I'm offended by the Jamaican comment that you
He
made, but
said
all
it.
right.
I ain't say it.
I was
He
gonna say
said it.
Jamaicans are the worst, so I just
Oh,
want
They
to say
are. They
this
really are.
this Negro.
Truly.
the worst.
Mm-mm-mm.
They're
Well,
the
how do
worst.
you feel about that, Horace? Do you think that there needs to be understand? Do you even think that women understand what men be saying when they be saying it at the time
I
that they be
think
They
saying
don't.
it?
we missed on one big thing. Communication is great, but bigger than
Comprehension.
communication is comprehension.
Amen.
All right.
That's understanding. You got to be able to comprehend.
Yeah, you comprehend. And a lot of times people communicate. It's like people talk to they talk, but they don't talk to listen. Some people talk to respond. So those are major issues anyway. So
Hmm.
Comprehension is key. Comprehension is super key because, again, that, and you said it, people talk to respond. And that saying is even like a thrown out saying where everybody says it and they still don't even understand it. Like they're saying it and they do it. And it's like, do you see what you're doing? You're doing exactly what you're saying. And it's
I'm
because they don't comprehend.
I'm gonna
yeah,
say this. A lot of times people speak from their fears, like the Bible tells you, abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I also realize that a lot of people speak on things because of the way that they would like to see them happen, not necessarily thinking I need to do this too. And a lot of times, I think as men, with us being the head of the household or the leaders, you got to lead by example. And a lot of men kind of forget that part. But also, too, we always remember that, women are there to help us. We don't, or I ain't gonna say we don't, we kind of overlook the fact that they're the help meet. They meet us with help. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, like you're saying, um, the understanding part is that woman understanding that you're short in a certain area and trying to evoke that emotion or that gumption inside of you for you to fix it. And sometimes we as men misread that because we are heavily led with ego. So we start feeling like you're impugning our authority as a man and our ears shut off. So the
Mm,
reason why I'm saying that is because you have to understand who you're talking to and where they're coming from, as far as, like you said, when you know your family member, when you know your lover, when you know your business partner, whatever the case may be, you shouldn't feel like that conversation is a malicious attack. It's basically them telling you, I feel like you're short in this area. But we do struggle with that on both sides of the ball, hearing that person out and knowing that it's for your betterment, not for your
Just to be
yeah.
downplaying you.
Right. Thank you for that. And I wanted to do that. I know we were coming up on an hour, and we don't want to go too long. I like the conversation that we have had tonight, Bree. So I would love to have Breezy Bree back on again, talk about some more issues and things going on out in the world, because I like
We're
listening to
able
what
to
you bring.
communicate. That's what it is. And just to finalize that, like you said, people have to understand that when someone comes to, I've had my cousin tell me I'm tone deaf, and I'm a Sag. I'm gonna say that, make sure everybody
She
knows
might be
I'm a
right.
Sag, so I'm
Mm.
blunt, and I'm very direct, and I'm gonna ask questions. But overall, if you know me, you know that I'm very loving, I'm very caring. Again, I'm a nurse. I love to make sure that people feel comfortable, and like therapy, I love to listen to people. If someone wants to speak, I love to listen. But within that, sometimes when I give feedback, like we said at the beginning, people have to be able to accept feedback. So when conversations are being had, you need to be able to understand that you came to that person for something, and when they respond back to you, you have to be able to accept it. As well as, even if you're not, even if you didn't go to that person for something and they come to you and say something, like you said, realize who that person is and who that person is to you, and realize that they're only trying to make the situation better. They're trying to make sure that there is no, I'm gonna put you out at 2:00 in the morning because I've been holding this in all my life. Like, I'm coming to you because I want you to know what's up, and I see this in you and I want it to be better. So people have to understand and comprehend. They
I
have to
didn't know
be
you
able to
had a
understand
petty
and
bone
comprehend.
like that, there, Bree. But I like the way you put that together, masterfully crafted. I like that. What you got to say, Horace?
Now, giving her applause on completing one full episode of podcast. And you never done a podcast before, correct?
No,
Newbie.
All
you
right.
didn't believe in me.
Of course we did. We
Mm.
got you on here. What do you mean?
Good. We did a whole lot of coaching this evening, ma'am. So you can't say that, because we had to wait for all your position changes, lighting changes.
I was just trying to be in my zone. I used to come out here and take my exams and everything. This is my zone. When I put my kids to bed, I come out here.
Your animal control issues over there. Listen.
Anybody want a cat? I got a cat that keeps coming back. It's so nasty.
They got a book about that. It said the cat came back the very next day. Thought he wasn't gone.
We don't listen. I tell anybody off the top, I do not, and it hurt me. I finally know somebody. I was like, dang, she's pretty cool. She has a cat.
She done.
I think that women that have cats are red flags. I don't know what it is. I would not date a woman that has a cat.
I think that red banner at the top need to go off now.
You got a cat, leave her alone, my homeboy. Red flags.
They're just very, like, they could sneak up on you and jump on you at any. That was my first scare when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God, this thing could just jump at me at any minute. No.
Kick it. I'm sorry. In case Peter listening, I would never do such a thing.
Why do I chase the cat?
But you said the cat came back the next day, the very next day. That's the name of the book.
Oh yeah, no, that's the cat came back. I don't know. That's telling my age, but I'm telling you, it is.
Is that a child's book? I'm gonna find that for my daughter.
Lord,
I'm gonna get a kid's book. Got a little collection going.
Right.
It was great, guys. It was great. We hit a lot of topics. I think there's so much more conversations to be had. And it only works when you have people that are able to communicate. So I'm glad that y'all was able to hear me out, listen to me tangent, hear my dominant masculine conversations that people love to say, oh, Bree, you're tone deaf and you love to talk like a man and all of these things. But it's just reality and logistics.
That's that island in you.
Hey,
you know, you talked about Jamaican men. That's that island in you, just dominant. Ugh,
make it a party. Listen, come back with more questions and come back with more friends. We love a good gangbang.
Yeah.
It went over her head. All right, we'll catch y'all next time.
You gotta make sure your game plan got
Black Super Friends podcast.
Talk to him.